What does the Air India crash mean for Boeing? When and where did the plane crash? Air India Flight AI 171 left Ahmedabad's Sardar Vallabhai Patel International Airport at 13:39 local time. 8:09 GMT, Air India said. It was scheduled to land at London Gatwick at 18:25 BST. The plane crashed on departure from Ahmedabad, where all operations have since been suspended. An Air India passenger plane bound for London's Gatwick Airport crashed shortly after taking off in Ahmedabad, Western India, on Thursday, killing 241 passengers and crew. It later emerged that only one passenger, a British man, had survived. Among those on board were Indian, British, Portuguese, and Canadian nationals. More than 200 bodies were recovered from the scene, but it is unclear how many are from those on board the plane and how many are casualties from the ground. According to flight tracking website FlightTracker24, the signal from the aircraft was lost less than a minute after takeoff. Flight tracking data ends with the plane at an altitude of 625 feet, 190 meters. The plane gave a mayday call to air traffic control, India's aviation regulator said. No response was given by the aircraft after that. It crashed into a residential area called Magani Nagar. Doctors hostile struck. The plane crashed into a building used as doctors' accommodation at the Baramji Gigi Boy Medical College and Civil Hospital. A photograph taken after the crash shows abandoned tables and plates of food in the canteen of the hostel. At the far end of the room, people have gathered to inspect a huge hole in the wall apparently caused by the impact of the plane. One woman at the scene told Ani that her son jumped from the second floor of the hostel, sustaining injuries when the plane crashed there. Verified footage taken in central Ahmedabad showed huge plumes of black smoke in the sky. The BBC's Roxy Gagdekar said people near the scene were running to save as many lives as possible. He said emergency services were involved in a rescue operation and trying to extinguish a fire, and described seeing bodies being taken from the area. Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal told a press briefing that we have lost a lot of people. Air India later issued a statement confirming 241 people on board the plane had been killed. The airline said the sole survivor was being treated in hospital. Ahmedabad's police chief G.S. Malik said it was highly likely that there were also casualties on the ground where the plane crashed, and warned that some locals would have died. Last month, Boeing celebrated carrying its billionth passenger on the 787 Dreamliner, an impressive feat, given it only launched 14 years ago. Until today's tragic Air India crash in Ahmedabad, the model was a mainstay of intercontinental travel and had an exemplary safety record. This is a different plane from the Boeing 737 MAX, which was in the headlines after fatal crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia, which killed hundreds of people in 2018 and 2019 respectively. A software fault was found to have caused those incidents, and the model was grounded worldwide for 18 months. So far, there is nothing to suggest any fault on Boeing's side today in India. A much fuller picture will come once the plane's black boxes, the electronic recording devices that store vital flight information, have been recovered. Various theories have been posited as to what could have caused the crash in Ahmedabad. But one pilot I spoke to said that nowadays it's rare for a manufacturer fault to cause a fatal incident. Barring the very notable exception of the Boeing 737 MAX crashes, he said, most were down to human error in the cockpit. It's also important to remember that when you fly commercially, you will almost always either be on a Boeing or an Airbus model, as the plane-making industry operates as an effective duopoly. Even so, Boeing has found its name associated with yet another tragic aviation incident. The company said its thoughts are with the passengers, crew, first responders, and all affected, and added that it was working with Air India to gather more information on the crash. When stock markets opened in New York on Thursday, Boeing shares dropped 5%. The tragedy is another problem for a firm that lost nearly $1 billion a month last year, as it grappled with a safety crisis, quality control issues, as well as a damaging workers' strike which lasted 7 weeks. After one of its doors flew off midway through an Alaska Airlines flight in 2024, Boeing was forced to pay $160 million, £126 million in compensation. Before that, the company also reached a $428 million settlement with Southwest. airlines for the financial damages caused by the long-term grounding of its 737 MAX fleet. In addition to severe financial issues, Boeing has faced serious questions over its safety practices. In April, the company said it had seen improved operational performance from our ongoing focus on safety and quality. In 2019, a former employee told the BBC that under-pressure workers had been deliberately fitting substandard parts to aircraft on the production line. John Barnett, who worked as a quality control manager during his more than 30 years at Boeing, took his own life in March last year. Boeing denied his assertions. Another whistleblower, engineer Sam Salapur, told U.S. politicians that he was harassed and threatened after he raised concerns about the safety of Boeing's planes. Boeing said retaliation was strictly prohibited, and it had seen a more than 500% increase in reports from employees since January, which signals progress toward a robust reporting culture that is not fearful of retaliation. Boeing has also been embroiled in a series of legal battles related to the crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia. Last month, the firm narrowly avoiding criminal prosecution by coming to an agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice, to the dismay of victims' families. The DOJ said Boeing would admit to conspiracy to obstruct and impede an investigation by the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration and would pay more than $1.1 billion in fines. Unsurprisingly, Boeing's top executive team has undergone a pretty significant shakeup over the past couple of years. Its new boss, Kelly Ortberg, came out of retirement a year ago to try to revive the ailing company. He has promised an improvement to Boeing's safety culture and recently said he was confident the aviation giant would soon return to profitability. Today, he faces more awful news to navigate.